Welcome to the Whiskey Chasers, where we talk about our passion for whiskey and its history, either amongst ourselves or while interviewing distilleries, all while enjoying a glass. I'm Steve.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Chris.
Please enjoy responsibly while enjoying this week's episode of the Whiskey Chasers. And we're drinking some Old Overholt.
We've got a glass poured.
Right, we haven't started drinking it yet. Old Overholt. Just the good old, regular 80 proof Old Overholt.
This is their most basic offering.
The most basic offering.
Is this what they started out with when they first got started?
Yeah. I mean, when they started, it's in the 1810s. So, like, you know, I mean, I'm sure it's nothing exactly like this, but it was just a regular old whiskey. It was a rye forward whiskey.
Pennsylvania
Pennsylvania
style.
rye. Yep.
Medicinal.
Overton, it was, yeah. Which we'll get into that how they were able to kind of keep that
That's good. I'm curious now.
throughout Prohibition and stuff, and why
bottles.
they're a specialty. They're one of the special ones that got to survive got to be made through Prohibition.
But
And
this is one of those things that has been on people's cabinets, like not just drinkers.
Yeah.
It's just been like it's one of those things that was just, it's been around. And a bottom shelfer for time out of memoriam.
Yeah.
Like, I can't think of a time where I've always seen this on a bottom shelf.
I mean, just and nothing against the look. It looks like a bottom shelfer. It just looks like a no name.
Yeah, in a good way. But it's got
just
that,
some old guy on a label.
it's got
just
the brown glass.
Yep.
Like very cough medicine kind of
very
color.
50s
Yeah.
bottle
Now-
kind of thing.
Old Overholt is Heaven Hill. Old Granddad is Beam, right?
Old Overholt is Beam.
Old
Old
Overholt's
Overholt is
Beam.
Beam.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Old Granddad is Beam as well.
Old Granddad is Beam too.
Yeah. I think
Why
they're both.
did I think that one of them was interesting?
They're both
For
Beam.
some reason, I thought one was
Old Crow is too, I think. Yeah.
maybe all the old ones. Yeah, all the old
medicine
ones
show.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Speaking
Okay.
of medicine.
Okay. All right.
But no, yeah, it's Beam. Beam.
Yep.
I think it would even say it on the bottle, Steve.
For some
I'm
reason,
sure it
I
does. Let me
thought
look.
Yes, it does say Beam on it.
I thought one of the olds was Heaven Hill, but maybe not.
Reg in U.S. Pat off.
The pad off.
That's what it says right there. See it? Reg in U.S. Pat off.
Patent office.
It's patent office. Yeah. So,
Regulation in the patent office or regular in the patent office?
bottled by a
Yeah,
Overholt.
It's a regular. It's on the shelf in the patent office.
Distilled in Kentucky.
Is it?
Drinksmart.com. Theoldwhiskies.com.
Yeah, it's made in Clermont, Kentucky. Even though it's birthed in Pennsylvania. And so you'll see on some of the labels, like born in PA, distilled in Kentucky, as like a thing at the front. Yeah.
Distilled in Kentucky. Yeah.
don't keep it-
Clermont, Kentucky.
Kind of surprising they don't keep it in Pennsylvania. Because do they brag it's a Pennsylvania rye?
So that's kind of, we're going to get more into that later on when we get into the
Monongahela one?
Yeah, the Monongahela one.
Okay.
Because they are starting to switch over
Oh.
to more of a Pennsylvania deal. And so
disappointed.
No. So they're going back to their roots a little bit as we go on.
So this was not always Beam, I take it.
No. Old Overholt was their own company all the way back in, like I said, 1810 is when they got their start. A gentleman by the name of Henry Oberholzer. It's been changed to
Overholzer?
Oberholzer.
Holzer. Interesting.
Yep. But yeah, he was a German Mennonite farmer, moved to West Overton, Pennsylvania, and that's where he kind of got
Mennonite
going.
doing whiskey.
Yeah.
Well, Pennsylvania, Mennonite, makes sense.
That's the
But
time.
Hold on. Mennonite.
They're cool with it. I mean, I don't know if they still are, but back then they
They're
were.
still cool with it. The conservative Mennonites are not cool with it.
They're cool with it.
They're not so cool with it. I can tell you from experience. Yes. At least the northern Indiana conservative Mennonites are not okay
well, these
with
are the
it.
Pennsylvania ones.
Okay, they may have a different idea. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. What are we picking to smoke with this guy?
Man, I didn't realize this tin is ready to pop. This thing's pregnant. Yeah.
What is this one?
So we're doing an old standby. Like this is like, we'll get into it, but Old Overholt like doesn't get a whole lot more classic, doesn't get a whole lot more basic, but in a good way. So I figured let's do an old codger blend. One of my favorites is
Codger.
an old codger blend.
What's
is
a
they call 'em.
codger?
Codger.
An old guy. An
Old guy.
Old person.
Is that what you
This
call
guy-
it?
An old codger.
Look at
So
the-
can I call Bob an old codger?
Look at
For
the look
sure.
of that guy. That's a codger.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this one is by Cornell and Diehl. It's called Gentleman Caller.
Gentleman Caller.
It's got a codger on it. Old guy that he's trying to ring the.
Sorry, is codger like?
It's a pretty well-known thing. I'm just a little surprised you haven't
I don't
heard
have
that.
my phone. You're gonna have to look up a definition at this point.
Okay,
You're gonna have to look it up and read it.
Well, I'm just curious.
Steve,
Is
look
this
up the
like
definition of it.
derogatory towards?
No,
old? Okay.
No, it's just like
okay.
you're an old codger.
codger.
You're an
Okay.
old-
Yeah,
like
okay.
old guy
I think
set
it's
in your
like
ways.
an
I
old
don't
bachelor.
know.
Like he might even be a bachelor. I'm not sure if you have to be single or not. But
I just didn't know if it was
he'll look
derogatory.
up. No. An old codger. They're codger blends. It's Carter Hall is an old codger blend.
Okay, old codger. It's an informal, sometimes affectionate, sometimes slightly derogatory term for an older man, often one who is eccentric or quirky.
Yeah, I mean, so it could go either way.
So basically, it's something you call old people.
But, you know,
either
if you called
jokingly
somebody-
or
Yeah, that's
whatever.
how
If you called
everyone
somebody
take it, yeah.
Gramps,
Yeah.
it could go the same way,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, Gramps. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's an old codger.
Or like, okay, old man.
Old man. Yeah. Old timer.
Yeah.
But going back to this, Gentleman Caller, what makes this one unique is it's got a thing called deer tongue in it. You ever heard of
Okay,
deer
no.
tongue?
Is that a plant?
Yeah, it is. It is a plant. It's got burleys and Virginias as well. But deer tongue is a leaf that's found in the forest or whatever. What it does in part, besides like a certain type of aromatic smell, natural aromatic smell, kind of a vanilla flavor is what it imparts on the palate. But what this is, so this is its own blend, and I like this one more than the other one. But it starts from Crooner. So Crooner is a pipe tobacco also made by Cornell and Diehl, but that is supposed to mimic Bing Crosby's blend, which is burleys and Virginias as well as deer tongue. So Bing Crosby supposedly went into a pipe store years ago and said, I want this blend and I want deer tongue in it and blah, 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 blah. It's an old world kind of leaf, condimental leaf.
Yeah.
Nobody really uses it anymore. I think it was more like used in different poultices and things. Like it's like sassafras. It's like an old school kind of a thing that people used to use. So he would smoke it. They made a blend called a Crooner, but then they came out with this one, and it has more deer tongue than Crooner. So I tried Crooner and I loved it. It was cube cut burley and stuff. But when I tried this years ago, I was like, oh, for me, this is better out of the two.
Yeah.
So for me, this is even more codgery than Crooner. And this tin is from 2016.
2016.
Yeah.
All right, so we're at
So
9 years.
This thing is like pregnant. You can see it. Like it is
it's
ready to
popping.
pop. Yeah, and it's not even like it's not making a sound like shaking its head. So I'm excited.
There's no air in there.
Yeah, or if you look up a picture of deer tongue, I did it one time. It's kind of an interesting. Is that what you're doing? Looking up a picture of it?
No, I mean, I feel like I've heard of deer tongue, and it's one of those that I feel like I've seen or talked about, and it's I get confused. Isn't there like a deer something that's like poisonous?
Maybe it's deer tongue. Maybe you can't eat it. I don't know. You can smoke it.
Yeah, I feel like
I don't know.
I don't remember. There was
You'll
something about.
see it in this though. It's like a green. There's like green speckles in this.
Oh,
Yeah, it's very interesting. I like it though, and some people hate it, but I mean, you can already smell it. I mean, it's just got such a unique. So this is one of the blends I always smoke when I golf.
Oh,
My golf bag reeks of this, and in a good way. I loved it. I love the smell that my golf bag smells like. You know what I mean?
It's very sticky.
Yeah,
Or at least stuck to the cap.
just stuck to the But I mean, as soon as you take a whiff of this, Nick, you're gonna be like, oh, that is
So it's all loose leaf.
different.
Yeah, it's all loose.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was saying it's ribbon. That's why I was like, it's not making a sound. So it's in here. You'll see here's a piece. And this is older. So a newer tin, it's even brighter, the deer tongue. But that piece there is the deer tongue, that green piece.
Oh yeah.
But give that a sniff. Tell me what you think. It's unlike anything else. I mean, it's one of those blends.
It's almost blueberry.
Yeah, it's one of those blends that if you're looking for something, if you feel like everything runs together, well, try this because it's not an aromatic. That's what's interesting.
That's cool. Yeah.
It's not an aromatic.
It reminds me of blueberry tea.
But
a
is
fresh
aromatic.
blueberry tea?
Yeah.
That's
So you've never smoked Crooner or
I have had Crooner before because we've done it on the podcast, I believe, at some point. But that was the first and only time I've had it. But I don't think I've had this
I do
before.
like the big difference besides the amount of deer tongue is Crooner has cube cut burley. This has got burley in it, probably not as much as Crooner because it's got more Virginias and it's also ribbon cut.
So this one did not hiss and pop as much.
It hissed, but I would call it a softer
a
hiss.
softer one. Is that because of the cut? Is that because of the age? Is that
It's the components of the leaf that, over time, some things emit more gas or
gas carbonation.
carbon, than others. I mean, the thing was, it was full. Like it felt like it was about, if I squeezed it, it was gonna pop. Yeah. So I mean, it was full, but it's like, you ever notice like some sodas, if you shake them up and they don't go as nuts as like other ones. Right. Like they're gonna fizz out, but it's not gonna be. Some are worse than others, right? I think Sprite's one of those that doesn't really as much as like Coca-Cola. Yeah. So I have a feeling maybe that it has something to do with the ingredients.
So is it fair to say that the hiss or the pop is not a good judgment to use on like whether it's been aged long enough, or
I don't think there's a super big like it's not super indicative of like the age per se, right. Because other than like new tins don't really hiss at all, other than there is some pressure.
We've had a few on the podcast lately there where it's like super hissy.
Right. The big things that you look for in whether it has age or not is this. You see the brownness on that paper? See how old it is? Yep. If this was a new tin, that would be bright white. And there wouldn't be any of this like aging, what do you call it? Tobacco kind of residue.
And it's like soft. It's almost like damp.
Yeah, and you're talking about something that's been sealed up. So light hasn't touched that. Why is it brown? Because the tobaccos have matured and released all their stuff, and it's affecting that paper. So when you open up a tin and you see that color versus like bright white, like, oh, that has some age to it. And I've done that with nightcap, especially. I've had some old tins of nightcap, and it's almost black, like the white. And if you open up a brand new one, it is like whiter than this white. It's like stark white. Okay. So you see how faded that is and how brown that is. Here you go, Steve. You ready? Nice catch.
Selected hand-blended tobaccos for the discriminating smoker.
On there. And they are all, Cornell and Diehl, you want to talk about hand-touched products. I mean, it doesn't get more boutique. That's what I love about them. Yeah. Like they are so, the care and quality that they put into everything that they do. Okay. It's just, even they're obviously small batch stuff, but that's like one of their main lines. And it's still like, you can tell like it's quality.
Now, is Cornell and Diehl still around?
South Carolina.
Yep. So this is one of those, unfortunately, a lot of those legacy brands, a lot of them have either combined or gone away, but these guys are still alive and well.
They won't. They won't. They're at this point, they're the biggest and best.
Is McClellan the one that
maybe not the biggest, but
they're gone.
They're gone. McClellan is gone. Okay. For some reason, I get McClellan and Cornell and Diehl.
Well, because they're both like quality, boutique kind of, especially Cornell and Diehl and McClellan. And in a time where there wasn't a whole lot of people doing that stuff, there was the big players, and then you had these guys. It smells good, right? Like I said, it's like an aromatic, but it's not aromatic. Like it's naturally aromatic.
It reminds me of like a campfire, like the smoke coming off of a stove, like a wood stove.
Yeah, I love the smell when it's smoked. I like the smell when it's not smoked. If you threw this into like a drawer for like a year, that drawer would forever smell like that. And I just think it's a great smell. And it's kind of an old person smell. It's like, this isn't like potpourri, but it's like how potpourri is an old person smell.
I wouldn't say that. It reminds me, so my grandparents have a wood burning stove. And every time you open up the stove to put more wood in, that's the smell. It's like the smoke coming off of that wood. My parents have a fireplace in their living room, and they have it going like all year round because they're getting that age. But that's that smell. It's that like fresh fire, like no chemicals involved, like other than just wood and like flame. It is that like it feels, to me, it feels very like homey, very warm, welcoming. Home, yeah. Yes.
But I guess that's what I mean about old person smell. Okay. Like you get that smell too with that. Yeah. I think potpourri is not this, but it is an old person. So it's not a young person smell. Right. Potpourri is not like our age.
You don't have a college person doing potpourri.
I mean, nobody's even buying that unless you're like 65 plus. Right. But this is like an old person smell, but in a good way. Like it's almost an earned smell. Like you said, you got to almost have to have everything set up to smell like this. Yep. I love it. And I think if my whole house smelled like this, I'd love it.
Can we have candles smell like that?
I've thought about like, should this be like, there was a time I played around with like, should this be my blend? Because of how well it smells. This one and HGL. Lane HGL.
This is perfect. So we're going into October, we're going into fall with this old Overholt. This is like perfect for that time of year. This tobacco. It reminds me of that like fall We might have a campfire outside. It's a little chilly, but it's not like incredibly cold. You got that smell of the campfire going. That fits this.
Yeah, it's a very good blend. And yeah, I love the smell of it. I'm with you there.
And Old Overholt fits that October fall kind of feel for sure.
It does.
Yeah.
So since we're going to do Old Overholts here for a few episodes, I'm going to break up the history a little bit. And so this is our oldest one. So we'll start with the oldest history. So way back when they first got going. So like I said, 1810, that's when they got their start.
They weren't owned by Beam at that point.
No, they were their own thing. It was just some farmer in Pennsylvania that wanted to make some booze.
Farmer, right?
Yep.
German Mennonite.
German Mennonite.
I picture Opa, by the way.
Right.
I
There
picture
you
Opa
go.
doing this.
I picture the guy in the front of the bottle.
So he started it, and we don't know really when he started it, but his son took over in 1810, and he's the one that kind of turned into a business.
So was it originally just to preserve the crop, and then his son took over?
It could have been just under the table kind of stuff, just in the 1800s, pretty much everyone distilled. Right. And we talked about it in Pennsylvania, especially. There was a lot of that, a lot of just people using alcohol as currency, which is crazy. Trading grain that way.
So I was thinking about that the other day, right? Because we have so many bottles, so many historic bottles that we talk about, like it was to preserve the grain. And I look at that, I'm like, how do you preserve a grain and turn it into alcohol, right? This idea of like, I can't sell it as a grain at this point. It's something else. The craziness to me is like, as a farmer, you're like, I may get $200 for this bushel, these bushels. The rest I'm going to distill down and sell it as alcohol. And that's okay. Like that's weird for me to think about during that time.
Yeah,
like that was the idea,
right? It's weird because we're thinking about it as like a fun thing to do, and like to drink alcohol, and it's a luxury, it's a fun thing. Whereas then this is calories. Yeah. Like this is a way of getting some calories in,
or getting rid of a cold.
It's getting rid of a cold. It's usually healthier than the water in a lot of places in terms of getting good water, and so we're looking at it as a means of enjoyment, when at that time it wasn't a means of enjoyment. It was just you just drink at like starting at age 5.
This is cold medicine. This is
what you're having.
I mean, like not to even joke around about it, but growing up like in Tennessee and stuff, that's how people made cup medicine. It was basically molasses or whatever you wanted to use, or some people just take horehound candy or whatever and just throw it in a bottle of this basically, but you'd mix whatever you were doing, you'd make a syrup out of it, but you'd mix this with that, and that was cough syrup. Unless you had moonshine, you know.
And like the whole thing with teething and putting whiskey on the gums or whatever of babies for that kind of thing.
A cup of black tea and a dollop of this, you know what I mean, for like an upset stomach. Like people did a lot of weird,
which I feel
stuff like that back then.
Fits with the idea of October and the whole Halloween kind of feel of like
the apothecary kind of idea that goes with it.
We gotta have like witches in a pot. Like we're like stirring around. Like
just a simmer pot on the stove.
Old recipe books.
Right, yeah. It kind of fits with that. Yeah.
Yeah, people using this to sterilize maybe medical surgeons, like instruments.
Which again is crazy to think of. Like, that just seems, nowadays you're like, oh, we have NyQuil. You know, we've got we got ZQuil. You know, we got so many different cough medicines, sleep aids. Back then it was like, I've got my rye whiskey.
And my deer tongue.
Yeah. Like I've got these like home aids that's a leftover crop kind of feel. Whereas now we're like, ooh, don't give that to kids. That's bad. Right. But we'll give this other medicine to kids. That'll be okay.
Tobacco juice. Remember that? Like my grandpa used to say, well, you get a bee sting, just spit some tobacco juice on it. Yeah.
One thing about these old codger blends like this is that nice thick smoke. That's right there.
Voluptuous.
Voluptuous, yes. It's a really
viscous.
Mm-hmm. You got to really blow out so it doesn't get back in your face.
I love that. Though.
Yeah, it's a good, right? It's a positive, yeah.
So son took over.
Yep, son took over. His name's Abe.
Good old Abe.
Yep.
Okay. Now
so that's why now when we look at
not so honest Abe.
So Abraham is kind of
Abe.
Yeah.
His twin brother.
Abe or Abraham, which now if you look at their marketing, that's what they say is their starter is Abraham, the son. So he kind of took it took it official, made it what it is. And then that's when things were getting fun about then when it came to marketing and business, and like it's the start of the Gilded Age.
When was this?
So 1810, so like 1843
is when marketing became fun?
I mean, for people that like to study it.
I don't remember this in Mad Men at all.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the 50s marketing.
Oh, okay.
That's
All right.
when it got druggy.
Oh, that makes more sense. Yes.
That was 1950s, not 1850s.
Right. No, in 1843 is when they started marketing in cities and like putting ads in papers and doing that. And like Overholt was one of the first brands to do that. And so one of the first brands to be like advertising a whiskey versus just having a whiskey that's like local to you or whatever else. They're one of the first ones to be like, hey, ours is special. You should buy ours versus Dave's down the road.
So this fascinates me for Beam to buy them out. Down the road, they buy them out, right?
Yeah,
I
after
picture-
like 3 or 4 other
Right.
sales, but yeah.
So I picture this idea, this we're the first of this, we're the first to market, we're the first to really go out there. I picture that for Heaven Hill. I don't know that I picture that for Beam. Would you agree, Chris? Or would you?
I think sometimes those acquisitions, it's just about the right time at the right place.
Yeah, and this
And
was
less
part
about,
of a
like-
big sale
Right.
with like 100 other brands.
It's less about does this fit for us and more about like is it the right time at the right place.
But I think of like Mellow Corn. They haven't changed Mellow Corn since they bought it out. Like everything is the same. That's in my mind why this fits for Heaven Hill. Of
Well,
like,
yeah, it would be better
it-
suited, maybe.
yes.
But it's just one of them things. I mean, I think we all think that JTS Brown should be made by Brown Foreman. That's not the
Yeah.
case either, right?
fair.
But
guess,
also, not to interject what you're saying here, Steve, but I do want to bring up the fact that with this saying 1810, like put down on the front of the bottle, they're basically saying is we're the one of the first.
Yeah.
Because there's like not a whole lot that are even boasting prior
They
to that
are
date.
considered the first and
The oldest.
the first and like the oldest. They're the oldest continually maintained brand of whiskey.
I mean, because Pepper's even got a statement saying that they're the oldest of this or that, and a lot of people are saying that about. I mean, you got the grandfather of bourbon, whatever.
Evan Williams,
Evan
yeah.
Williams. You got all these different things, statements. But to put 1810 on there is kind of saying, "Hey, I'm one of the guys,
Right. Yeah.
if not the guy."
And like I said, because they didn't stop distilling during Prohibition, one of like 6, they can say that they're the oldest.
So we're talking they first started as a way to maintain the crop, right? So a way to sell off the crop. Medicinal, whatever it was, that's what they did. Sun took over. Sun decided, let's reach out to others. Let's branch out, right? To other cities and market.
let's start making this special about us.
When they made that special about us, was it for whiskey or was it still that medicinal kind of feel? Do you know?
We are before the medicinal stuff. Medicinal became a thing because of Prohibition.
Okay, so
And so
It was being used for medicinal
it was
purposes.
using that, but it wasn't the advertising.
So the reason I bring that up is because of the bottle.
Yeah.
Name another brand that sticks to this color of bottle, this label.
That's what I was
everything.
saying. There's like none. But
Yeah.
it's for
It's-
one
it
thing,
was
it's
like
being
amber.
proud of their heritage, and I think it's another thing is like what Steve just said. They're all about continually like they're preserving what this is, so they don't really want to change the look of it because it got them through Prohibition, it got them through all this stuff. But I think back then it was just like that's what stuff looked like. You know what I mean?
Can you think of another brand that sticks to that color?
I don't know, and I love that color.
It's American. So I can think of like maybe some Scotch or something. Not even Scotch. Scotch is more green.
I mean, there's
You
you're
think
thinking of,
anyone's brown or like
Lagavulin got
Yeah.
a bit of a color like that, but this one's.
this one's more like amber brown kind
But
of
it
feel.
reminds me of the old drugstore bottles, like glass bottles of cough syrup and medicines. It's a Wonderful Life, like which is not in color, I don't believe. But if you were to make that movie color, I think the bottles in the shop where he gets his ear smacked would look like this.
So 1843, they start advertising. They start going into cities, being like, "Hey, we got some good stuff for you. You should try it." And on the label, and there's a picture here of the label, but then it was called a fine rye. It was Overholt's fine rye whiskey.
Oh, they should come out with a bottle
they
of
should.
that.
Very fine.
Fine rye, yeah,
Old
very
fine,
rye.
very
That'd be
fine.
very
Oh,
cool.
man.
I'd buy that.
Ironically, Steve, before you continue, my family, they're not big drinkers. They're against it. They're old. They're Mennonite, conservative Mennonite. That's where we come from, right? I guess there was a garage sale at a local place, neighbor, whatever, and my aunt found a book that I have to show you guys that I had to put in a binder because it was like the old like prongs. So there was 3-hole punch, but it had like individual like prongs in, right? But it went through the history of bottle making for medicinal whiskey and whiskey bottles. And I'm pretty sure that the original old Overholt pictures were in there.
That's really cool. Yeah, I'd really like to see that.
It's pretty neat.
My roommate in college was an archaeology major, and we were down in like Hocking Hills area, and he talked a lot about bottles, and like because you can find bottles in the hills, or just when you're out hiking or whatever, you can find bottles all the time, and there's ways to like look at them and look at either the stamping of the wording or how it's blown, and like get a rough idea of how old it is. And so there's like a certain age, if you look at a bottle and there's a crease all the way around it, like kind of like halfway through the middle, because they take two pieces and they put it together, there's like a period where that stops and it becomes what we have now, like a full blow. And so he could look at a bottle in the woods and like just by that know, okay, this is after the 50s or whatever the time period was. And I don't remember when it was, but it was cool to like do that. And then he got real into it, so he could look at some of the lettering too and be able to say, okay, and narrow it down even more. But yeah, bottles. And I was just listening to somebody talk about sea glass too, where sea glass, where like pieces of glass get stuck in the water and just like rocks, they get smoothed out and it becomes like a piece of, it almost looks like a glass rock.
Yeah, people keep
and
put
they
those in their
do
pockets,
a bunch of like
and they'll carry them around with them because they just get more smooth over time.
Yeah, and they do a bunch of like cool art projects and stuff with it. So yeah, glass is kind of cool in that way. But I was just looking at this. We're in Pennsylvania at this point.
Right.
And also, and I couldn't read it at first, but around the middle it says copper distilled, mellow, fine. But then around the outside it says this. It says matured in steam heated warehouse rye whiskey.
There's lots of things. So mellow
fine.
Mellow. So is it charcoal filtered?
I mean, it doesn't say anything about charcoal. It just says it's mellow.
Okay. But then steam.
It says a steam heated warehouse. I have no idea what that is.
Is that like a more like temperature controlled kind of idea?
That's what it sounds like to me, is a temperature control.
Who's steaming their warehouse?
Apparently the Overholts.
It's like a sauna.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that would be, it's steam heated.
Were those the saunas back in the day?
I'm guessing that just means like the heat that they're using is powered by steam, not by coal or electricity or gas.
Which would have been like a cutting edge technology or whatever.
But think
like
back
a steamboat.
then,
Back
but
then,
it's
like
being
the
heated.
It's not a
steamboat was like, was that like the time?
But it's not a sealed warehouse.
I mean, maybe in this case it was.
Was it that sealed?
I mean,
like
maybe.
Where you think of like temperature controlled, the idea where it's all sealed off, right? Back then, was it that sealed off?
I mean, no more than any other building. I mean, it was, sealed, but like, yeah.
Like I think of like a wooden barn of like.
No, I mean, this is like
sealed.
industrial. Like it's a building. It's a warehouse.
But when was this?
1843.
How sealed are we getting? Again,
enough to have a heating and element. I mean, it just means it's artificially heated, and so they're altering the temperatures for whatever reason. And it says it's matured in, which I'm taking as aged in.
So aged in steam
heated warehouses.
I guess what I'm saying is they're not using the steam heat to do anything to the bourbon. They're using the steam heat to just keep it at a normal temperature.
Yeah, I think that I don't know how much steam really matters.
Versus using
it's a heated warehouse.
Using gas or coal to keep the fires going.
Would a steam heat be more like a wet heat?
I mean,
it probably would have, but I don't think that would matter at the time.
You wouldn't want it to be too wet.
Well, I don't think labeling it on a label would matter for the wetness. Okay. I think it's just like that is what they were using, and it's a reliable source.
It's got to be more.
They're cutting edge,
so more temperature controlled at that time.
It's a temperature control, and temperature controlled is loose, but it's like it's warmer than the outside. Yeah. You're
talking about a time where people probably didn't care to heat or want to pay the money to heat their rick house, basically.
Right.
So they're doing it, and there might be some humidity, but it's wintertime if you're heating it.
Right.
And in the winter, it's super dry. It's not humid. You actually need a humidifier in the wintertime. So the steam actually kind of
Interesting.
makes sense to use in a situation like that.
So steam
And this
heated.
is Pennsylvania, which is freaking cold in the winter.
So was it coal?
So they probably just wanted to keep it, the fire's going to keep, everything kind of at a decent temperature.
Right. So how do they heat it?
Right here. So the practice of using these steam heated warehouses was common in Pennsylvania rye distilleries. It was believed to accelerate the aging process and impart a unique character to the whiskey.
Because it kept the barrels at a warmer temperature. Be like aging down in the South.
But it would also keep it wet.
It's a perpetual summer-like environment. And so that's kind of the goal.
Humid and hot versus cold Pennsylvania
Dry.
Yeah. It just makes perfect sense.
And so they're just kind of using
it's
that.
kind of like being
it sounds like it's a little bit of a Pennsylvania rye sort of thing. Not necessarily just Overholt, but other ones at the time.
And using steam not only helps with the humidity, but also is probably a whole lot cheaper than using anything else. Yeah. And especially at a time where a lot of people probably didn't want to pay the money or care to heat a rick house.
I mean,
like, it's liquor, it's not going to freeze. Let it sit in a barrel.
But how many companies at that time or people at that time were like, hey, we have to distill our product, right? So we have to preserve our grain. We're going to build a warehouse that's temperature controlled at the time for public use of flavor.
But I'd have to look it up. But the Fulton steamboat came out in the 1800s at some point, and that was a really big deal. Steam powered motors were a big deal. They were the cutting edge. They're all the rage. I'm wondering if this kind of coincides with that. I read a book a long time, like when I was a kid, about the Fulton steamboat. Kind of interesting thing. But people love the idea of using steam power, which we don't really do anymore.
No, steam is pretty well gone.
Why?
Because it's not very effective. Gas works better. Okay. Combustion engine took over.
Okay, so they're kind of. I'm seeing a pattern of them jumping ahead of their time.
And this is very big in Monongahela rye. So at that time period in that section, a lot of them use the steam warehouses. So this is not an Overholt thing. This is everybody in Pennsylvania at that time.
Okay, so they weren't the ones to start this.
No, it was just on their label. That's the only reason this came up is because I saw it on a label.
Did anyone else just put it on their label?
I don't know. I mean, they were one of the first ones to market. So.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
If you can't beat them, join them.
Right. But market against
it. Yeah. But do it better.
Yes. But do it better, please. Okay. So we're first to market our brand.
Yeah.
We're not the first to possibly steam temperature control. Maybe that's a better way of putting it. But we're the possible first to put it on the label.
Fulton's Folly is 1807. This is a little bit after that, but still very much in the steam engine time frame. So yeah, that's the early part of this industry. I'm gonna stop the history there until the next episode. Yeah.
Again, I find it fascinating that these guys. We'll get more into the history of Prohibition, all that kind of jazz.
Prohibition's next, yeah.
But we're talking a company that got started by an old German Mennonite that said, I've got extra rye. What do I do with it? And then his son says, hey, how about we start doing this? Let's market this. Let's market the crap out of this. But till this day, we still kind of stick to the old label. Why?
This wasn't an old label back then. You know what I mean?
But it's the
label.
old. It's the idea.
This label doesn't look anything like the one that I just read off of.
So it's the idea of the old style.
Well, I think it's an old brand, so they want to keep the marketing as an old brand,
and it's cheap. And it's cheap. The bottle's still cheap. I think that bottle coloring is probably even cheaper than a clear.
Right, but my question is, with all this, why keep it to the old style? Why try to mimic the old idea?
I don't think they're mimicking anything. I don't think they're mimicking the old idea.
They're just staying.
They're just not changing it.
They're not changing, but so I say mimic because the color, everything, the label, the color of the bottle, that's not normal for the new age stuff.
yeah.
So why mimic the
because
old?
their branding guy died 30 years ago and they never rehired it.
But they're old. So we're gonna get into the old Overholt 10 and 11. They're not the same color.
Right.
So why change?
If it's not broke, don't fix it. I really think that's kind of the idea here.
Yeah. Now, the only time that your arguments are going to make a lot of sense is when we get into the A Overholt stuff.
Okay.
And so when we or Oberland or what is it? A Oberland? Is that what the Monongahela is?
Abraham?
A Oberland?
I don't know. Overholt?
Sounds like
Overholz?
A Overholt. That's what it is. Abraham
just sounds like you're
Overholt.
saying a dirty word.
When we get to that brand, so that switch over to the Monongahela and the Pennsylvania, that's when your arguments are starting to make some sense, because that's a new brand, a new take on everything, and they're bringing back an old style. When it comes to just old Overholt, they just got an old guy in the label. And they're not going to spend a bunch of money redoing the branding because it's a $10 bottle,
and it just doesn't matter. It
just doesn't
good.
matter.
Why haven't they changed Old Crow?
If they did change the label on it, then they got to charge $30 for it.
Why haven't they changed Old Crow?
Yeah.
Why haven't they changed JTS Brown?
Okay.
Because it's classic. It looks good. It works. It's cheaper to just not pay somebody to facelift it. Why not?
So
Just stick with it. I love the look of it.
I have a lot of questions then. If we think up until then, so the whole idea of the Abraham Overholt, so the old AH whatever, the newer stuff that came out. Up until then, we stuck to this, but this is not that.
Right. Well, it's a kind of another brand a little bit. Yeah.
So
or another line.
Why have we been okay with this? With the idea that this is what they started out with, when this may not have been what they started out with.
It for sure isn't what they started out as.
But it harkens back.
So we're all right
It's
with the
not far
idea that this is resembling something that started out in the old days.
Sure. This is just a 50s bottle, and it just looks like a 50s
you're
bottle.
Talking about something that at the time period you're talking about, it probably didn't even have a sealing cap on it. I mean, we're talking about, this is before bottled in bond took place.
Right.
You're talking about, this may or may not have been like in big jugs. Like the bottles were for fancy people. You know what I mean? Like this stuff was probably mostly in like weird containers. They weren't just chiming out bottles with labels. You know what I mean? Like
when they started marketing and doing all that, that's when bottles started looking like bottles,
like normal bottles.
like throwing a lid on it and all that kind of stuff. And if I look at this picture, there is something weird about the top.
Super crude, and it was probably not even a cork top. It was probably like some weird paper.
So
thing.
this is kind of resemblance of that. Like we don't really care. We care, but we don't care what's inside.
I think you care more about what's inside than what's on the outside, and that's the whole idea. This is so value. That like
this is a bottom shelf bottle.
You don't want to spend any extra. If you were to tell me we can spend 15 extra cents and make this bottle look better, we're going to charge you that 15 extra cents. I'd be like, no, don't. Like I would rather save 15 cents because I really don't give a crap. Right. I think the cheapest, most basic bottle this could come into, because we haven't even talked about the way this tastes yet. And for, I don't know, how much is it now? It's not $10 now. It's got to be more now. But
a
few years ago it was $10.
Probably 12.
Now it might be more than that. I wouldn't be surprised if this not with inflation. This might be more 15, 16.
Oh. Okay, we'll see.
Find out. But it's anything under, under $20. This thing is great. Always has been. And it's 80 proof. And there's a ton of flavor for 80 proof. There you go.
Yeah. $20 for a fifth, 30 for a liter.
Because I was going to say, this used to be around probably $10-12. And we always say inflation nowadays is like what? 7, 8, 9. So that makes about sense. You know what I mean? Everything's almost $10 more than it was, 5, 10 years ago, 8 years ago, whatever. Right. I mean, I feel like in the last 8 years, everything's at least $10 more than it used to be. But so for $20, this is still very good value.
Taste wise, do you think it's worth 20?
Oh, I think it's absolutely worth $20. I think with inflation.
It just sucks, but $20 is kind of your bottom shelf, your cheapest bottle.
Now
anything cheaper than that is natural grain spirits.
Jameson's used to be $19. You can't touch Jameson's now for like 20 something, 27. I mean, it's closer to 30, and that's freaking Jameson's. Not that there's anything wrong with Jameson's, but like that's gone up. Right. So this is still cheaper than that, and that's an Irish whiskey. But flavor wise, this has got way more flavor. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to compare the two, but there's other things in that 20, because now a $20 bottle, what used to be a $20 bottle is now a $30 bottle, period. That's just what it is. So this is still cheaper than those. This outshines a lot of $30 bottles.
So we've had our fair share of rye. You, me, Chris. Steve, you've had. I mean,
yeah. I'm starting to get there.
And we've ventured out into some odd ryes. We've ventured out into some Pennsylvania, like true Pennsylvania ryes. This boast of Pennsylvania. Is this reminiscent of that, or reminiscent of Indiana rye? Is this reminiscent of more of like a Kentucky style rye? What would you guys say?
I mean, it's I would say not an Indiana style rye.
Okay, so not MGP, not 95.5.
Yeah. I don't know if it's more Pennsylvania or Kentucky or whatever else. It's just kind of your basic rye. It's just kind of I don't know what the mash bill on this is. I don't know if it's 100% rye or if there's other stuff in it, but
I think rye is like it was Pennsylvania. Like Pennsylvania was rye and rye was Pennsylvania. So to say, is this a Pennsylvania rye at the time, what else was there? So yes, this is a Pennsylvania
time, for sure
rye.
It was.
Right. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, like there's so many different iterations of things. Pennsylvania rye has probably grown, changed, morphed, whatever you want to call it. And with people's palates, it's probably become more than what it used to be, or different at least. Is this like, it's a non-aggressive rye to begin with, but I think it's a Pennsylvania rye. I mean, I think that's like saying like, I don't know, like that would be like saying, I don't know, is the Democratic Party an American party? You know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? Like it's history is America. You know what I mean? Is the Democratic Party now what it was back in the 1700s? No. Is it Republican? No. They've both changed and morphed, but are they still like their roots? You know what I mean? Yeah. You know what I mean? So I think that's almost like considering like, is this a Pennsylvania rye? Well, like what else could it be? And really at a time where all rye was Pennsylvania rye, really.
For sure, yeah. So, at the time, it definitely was. Does it taste like it now, though?
Now, I think we've gotten to a point where we're so far past what anything was back then.
Right, for sure.
You're not like...
But I mean, does this taste like other Pennsylvania ryes that are coming out today?
That's what I'm saying. We have amplified the flavor so much that what is coming out now is... No Pennsylvania rye tasted like that back then. We have a whole nother level of flavor and taste. It's gone up. You know what I mean? So like this is not going to ever touch what Pennsylvania is now because it's grown, right? That's like NASCAR today versus like the way it started with like the stock cars or whatever in the whenever it was. You know what I mean? Like not the same thing. Same roots, not the same thing. It's different. But that being said, for a non-aggressive rye, it's got a lot of flavor. And here's the other thing. For 80 proof, it hits harder than other 80 proofs, probably at the time especially because of that rye component. So you're almost, if you think back in the day, like you were getting a lot more flavor for a lot less.
Well, so you said non-aggressive. For you and me, it's not aggressive. Steve,
is this aggressive?
Not aggressive.
No.
Okay.
This is not aggressive. I mean, if this was the first rye I picked up, I probably wouldn't think it was 80 proof. I would probably say it was closer to 90 or 100 or whatever.
See how you get a little bit more bang for your buck there.
But but like it's not punching me in the face. It's
a good it's a good bridger.
Yeah. It's ironic for me.
For people that want to get into ryes, it's one of those that you could.
For Chris and I would say very confidently, this is the equivalent for a rye of taking a glass of water and putting those Milo drops of like flavor additives in it, but like just a little bit of flavor in it. For Chris and I feel like that might be this.
It's a baby rye.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good,
but that doesn't mean it's not good. Yeah.
Yes, it's like that hint of like this. It's the hint of rye. It's the hint of flavor. It's not over powerful. It's not overbearing. It's not overwhelming. It is just. I mean, it's good,
but you're coming from like it would be like some heroin addict being like joints are fine.
Fair.
You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
Like well, you're at this level. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of not a fair. So you have to kind of see you have to take your kind of bias out and everything. You have to see it for what it is and then give it an honest, like non-biased kind of like because if I were to base this on like what I think is good, no, you know what I mean? But for what it is. And also for something that's only 3 years old, it does not taste that young. And for
3
the price,
years old.
So this is
the
3.
price and everything, I mean, it is really such, and that's why it stood the test of time, because this thing still, does it merit, here's a question, does it merit a place on the shelf in today's world with everything we've got out there, with all the bottles that are being made in the world, especially in America, but even the world over? Does Old Overholt's, this 80 proof, does it still merit a place on the shelf? And I say, you bet your butt. You know what I mean? Like I like, and that's really saying something for something that's that cheap, that proof point, that flavor.
So, okay, I think back to, you ask, does it merit a place, right? And I think back to, this is October, right? We're dealing with fall. We're dealing with Halloween. We're dealing with this idea of like flavor, kind of chili, but you want chili. That's the best way, but you want chili along the way, right? You want something that's like heat, flavorful, it's good, but you don't want something that's overbearing. This is the first week of October. This fits the first week of October. We haven't
settled into fall yet.
Yes, we haven't settled in yet, but this is like a good, like, okay.
Coming off the heels of summer. This is a good
we're getting in there.
Yeah.
We're jumping, we're kind of setting foot into that. We're stepping just a little bit into that fall, into that October.
You're not going straight for like I'm trying to think of that one. What was that rye that we gave the club?
Oh gosh, Traverse City Barrel Proof,
Traverse City Barrel Proof rye. And we're not. We don't want to go straight into that.
This is like, I just opened up the front door and I barely stepped out onto the porch in the
Leaves
fall.
are starting to turn.
Yes.
They're not falling yet.
Yes, this is like, I'm just getting into.
You're still working up a sweat, mowing the grass. You're not quite there.
So does this have a place? Absolutely. This fits that, like, not baby step, but like, we're gonna slow step into the, kind of like you do pipes, right? You do your tobacco. I'm gonna slow step into the fall. I'm gonna slow step into this season, right? Would you have what you're having right now, tobacco wise, that very first week of fall?
Yeah. I think this tobacco. I mean, you tell me what you think, Steve, but I think this tobacco fits perfectly with this bottle.
Absolutely, it does. Yeah, it's they're both kind of mellow in that way. The tobacco, but it's like hinting at something more, like we said, and I think that's
like too much.
And I don't know if that's that the deer tongue in it that kind of adds just a little bit of something that you're just not sure what it is, and so I don't know if it's adding. It's not. There's something more may not be punching you in the face. It's something different that you're like, this is something odd.
More to come.
There's something here, and so yeah, I think it goes really well with that. Along the lines of
it's yearning for like what's next.
Yeah,
like there's something.
It's not nondescript,
right?
But it's definitely not challenging your palate, and that's a good thing. But but with like something more to come. Yeah. Like you're almost thinking like this is going to start, and then it doesn't.
Can you think of another brand, or not even brand, bottling that has this progression? We start out with the basic, not even basic, of like first kind of slight step into this, but we're yearning for something more.
And I think the Whiskey Row series kind of harkens to that a little bit in ways. They're more showcasing like what they can do and what they've done, but in a maybe a non-purposeful way. They've kind of done that as well because they kind of slowly, and then as they morph their way up, it's getting more refined. It's getting more, because you end up with like Old Fine whiskey, which is like not their hottest, not their most aggressive, but it's almost the best. It's like the most well-rounded. It's the most flavorful. I think it's kind of showing the progression that they've gone through as a company.
So progression for company. What about progression for month?
Oh, for month, like through the month of October.
Sure, or not even the month of October. So you talk about the idea of like the pipe tobacco is almost like yearning for more. It's almost a progression for what's next. I feel like the old Overholt 80 is like a progression of like, I kind of want more. Like there's a little bit like yearning of what's next. Can you name another bottle lineup, another same thing, right? We're using rye. It's the same mash bill, aged longer or proofed more, that it's a little bit more yearning for what's next.
You tell me of a different brand other than Old Forester, and even that isn't exactly true, because the mash bill does change a little bit on that. That has kind of the same mash bill, but at different stages. I can't really think of one. Now, I don't know if that's the case with Old Overholt, if they haven't changed a thing. I know from the 80 to 100 they haven't, but there's plenty of companies. Hell, even Old Forester has an 80 and 100. So there's a lot of companies that have used the same mash bill for those two, but I don't know if this progresses with the same mash bill or not.
That's what I'm curious. Does
And
it progress
if it
with
does,
the same?
That's very interesting. And I don't know
Right.
if anybody's done that.
No. And that would fit, again, that would fit the whole idea of like fall, of like we set foot. Okay, we're slowly progressing, the leaves turning. Now we're starting to see a little bit more precipitation.
Because
now we're
I mean,
seeing
it's just
snow.
different. Because if you stick with the same mash bill, I mean, all you're really doing besides like different seasons and things like that, ingredients wise, is you're just changing maybe the age and the proof. And I mean, it does change from season to season, like flavors and whatnot. But if you're sticking with the same mash bill, it would be maybe not as much of a change. Maybe there is. I don't know. We'd have to figure that out. We'll have to find out
That's what I'm
on the
curious
next
about,
bottle.
yeah.
We'll have to see if that's the case. If they're sticking with the same mash bill or not. I guarantee that the 80 and 100 are going to be like that. But beyond that, I don't know.
All right, cool. So this is our intro to Old Overholt. So come back next week
End
for
of
the
End of October.
in October,
The best month of the
man.
year.
the best month of the year.
Yes.
So stay tuned.
And so next week we'll go to the Bond the Bond.
Perfect.
Sweet. See you then. Thank you for listening to the podcast. If you want more great content and other perks, be sure to support the show by clicking the link in the show notes. We can be reached on our website, whiskeychaserspod.com, with any ideas for the show. Thanks again.